Well, to say this is a happy day for the CFL is a monumental understatement. Obviously, we've been waiting for this for a long time. It's taken an awful lot of hard work to get here. When we were confronted, all of us, not just in the football business or the media business, but in all walks of life, were confronted with the COVID crisis in March of 2020. None of us would have imagined that it would have taken us on the journey that it has. It obviously had a significant effect on us in 2020. And, perhaps it's best to say that being disappointed in 2020 just doubled and then redoubled again our resolve to get back on the field in 2021. And, it was a thrill today. Following a unanimous vote by our Board of Governors, it was a thrill to make the announcement that we'll kick off our season on August the 5th, and we'll be in Hamilton for what I think will be one of the greatest Grey Cups of all time, a truly national celebration, not just of our great game, just of our great teams, not just of our great players and coaches, but just of what everything our league has meant, what our teams have meant to their communities, and what our game has meant to Canada. We are watching very carefully all of the developments on the healthcare side. We're obviously very encouraged at the pace of vaccinations happening across the country now. We're certainly encouraging all Canadians to get their first and then their second vaccination. We've got a very strong health and safety plan. We've been in a great collaboration with government at all levels, with health officials at all levels. And Dan, look, we don't know everything that's in front of us, but we feel like we've got a really solid plan. And as I say, we're just going to encourage everyone to continue the pace of vaccinations. And we believe that is the best way for us and all of our society to ensure that nothing knocks us off course. Look, what I can tell you is that I'm very optimistic that we're going to see a good number of fans when we start our season in August. We're hopeful that number is going to increase through the fall. Obviously, we're going to hope that as Canadians continue to get their first and second vaccinations, that governments are going to, be confident to increase the numbers that they're allowing in the stadiums. Steve, I'm going to stay away from, quoting particular prognostications or predictions, but I am hopeful, and we are hopeful as a league that as Canadians get vaccinated, government's going to let us see, gather more and more in greater numbers. And Steve, the best thing I can say is, wouldn't it be great to have a national celebration in the great city of Hamilton in that beautiful Tim Hortons field on December the 12th, the stadium just rocking with fans and a league playing, one of the greatest games of football on the planet. That's my hope for Sunday, December the 12th. We're going to have our traditional East and West. We did leave a small window open for a potential adjustment to the playoff structure, but right now, as it stands, we're going to play our traditional 6-team playoff format. But we did, as I say, we left a small window open for that to be discussed as things go on. But for the most part, it's going to be a traditional CFL playoff structure. We have made great progress in our return to play plans, our health and safety plans, and we are getting, every day we inch closer and closer to all of the approvals that we need. I think we feel very good about it. Obviously, governments have a responsibility not just to sports leagues and sports teams, but to, all of their citizens to make sure we're doing everything we can to keep each other safe. But Jeff, right now, we still have some work to do, but we feel very good about all the things we will need to get our players to training camps for a July 10th training camp kickoff, and then getting them onto the field for the August 5th start. So right now, Jeff, the answer is we feel very, very, very confident in our plan, but still a little bit work to be done.
What is up, my friends, and welcome to another edition of the XFL Week in Review. I'm your host, Mark Perry, editor of XFL News Hub Live here on the YouTubes. On this week's show, not only the XFL or the CFL to kick off in August 5th, we'll get into all of that, plus the XFL Content Plan getting teased. We'll talk about that as well. So how do you get in touch with the show? It's simple. You email podcast at XFL News Hub with your MP3s or videos, or call 888-430-7692 extension 3. Also, be a pal. Be nice and leave us a 5-star, whatever review you want. Leave us a review on Apple Podcast and leave us a review there and we'll read it on the show. And again, we always appreciate subscribe to this channel right now. And I hear these people say it all the time. Smash the like button to spread the word about our XFL Week in Review show and everything that we're doing here at XFL News Hub and CFL News Hub. Now, on this week's show, I got some really interesting stuff after the break to share with you. Thoughts on a brand new show that will be coming, a CFL exclusively only show. We'll talk about that. But there you just heard Randy Ambrosi talking about the big launch of the return of the CFL August 5th. I am super excited. I know you guys are too. XFL fans, CFL fans. I know he didn't mention about me being there, but we'll get into that a little bit later in the show as well, talking about this new show and everything else. We'll get to that after the break, of course. So let's get into the news this week. And also, I just want to say what's up to everybody on the YouTubes as well. So, all right, the first big news, of course, this week is the CFL Board of Governors approved the August 5th kickoff. This is great news. Of course, you heard Randy Ambrosi talk about all that stuff. That was in a press conference with some of the press people. So yes, the CFL season is in fact going to kick off August 5th. And this, all right, so we've got this piece first, is the Board of Governors approving the kickoff. And this is all on CFL News Hub, because we got CFL News Hub and XFL News Hub. Now, put this into perspective. We also had news this week that Sports Minister Lisa McLeod, never heard of the lady, made big news. Everybody was talking about her, and that they weren't ready, and then they never heard from the CFL, and then all of this. Oh, what's going to happen? Well, she announces the official roadmap for safe return to play. So she also held a press conference and laid out an accelerated path to return to play for the 18 leagues in 6 different sports. Some talking about travel, key work. So fans in the stands is not there yet, but not too far away in the distance. That's Lisa McLeod. They said they've just have to meet the key feature, the framework, which includes local support. So the local public health unit would have to sign off, some isolation things. Basically, in a nutshell, that things are looking good. So when asked about the Ticats, Red Blacks, and Argos holding training camp when they are planned in July, McLeod stated, quote, they just have to meet the key feature of the framework, which includes local support. So the local public health unit would have to sign off in Hamilton, Ottawa, and Toronto. We'd have to make sure that they place strict, the quarantine, blah, 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 blah. So everything is looking good. Everything is looking good. Who told you that things would be fine? Me. You can go back weeks ago. I was telling you, in the state of Maryland, in the United States of America, the positivity rate is 0.08 0.085 or 86. 0.08. There is less than 100 people a day in the state of Maryland that get what. I was telling you this weeks ago. I was like, don't freak out. We didn't cover every single health person out there that was making statements. Oh, this is going to happen. Oh no, this isn't going to happen. And they're lying to us. The CFL is lying to us. Here's what I realized. And there's a term. It's called FUD. Have you heard of it? It's a especially in crypto. So of course you guys know that I'm a big. Let's see if I can. I'm gonna find it on the YouTubes here, or on the thing. So in the crypto world, which, hey, it's been a great day. I just want to point out Bitcoin's up, Dogecoin is looking good, CFL is back. I'm very happy. So there is this term called FUD. And in the CFL media, they like to sling the FUD, so to speak. So what does FUD mean? Let's see here. FUD, here we go. Though it doesn't come out that great. All right, so what FUD stands for, it's an acronym that stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. FUD. Remember this. It is a strategy to influence perception of certain cryptocurrencies or the cryptocurrency market in general by spreading negative, misleading, and false information. There are a lot, and you know who I'm talking about, somebody who failed, especially that one, has spread FUD through the course of this whole thing. And it's so funny to pick out when somebody tries to spread fear, uncertainty, and doubt. I'm talking to you, Sportsnet people. Again, I have no skin in the game when it comes to, I don't care. I don't need to be friends with anybody in this Canadian media or any of those kind of things. I'm just telling you how I call it. And there are a lot of FUD. There are some FUDders out there, and they love to spread FUD. And I was even hearing some FUD today because it was like, oh, well, yeah, the CFL season is back, but we were telling you the whole time that things were fine. And it was like, oh, well, this person said this, and then now, they're reporting over here. And it's funny because, all right, so some people like to spread FUD. They're not in the business of the CFL. But other people are in the business of the CFL and love to spread FUD too. Remember, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. If you are a CFL media person, and they know who I'm talking about, do you think it's in the best interest of the CFL to spread FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt? I am going to write an article coming up here on CFL News Hub pointing out those in the CFL media who love to spread FUD, just so that it's documented. And also, hopefully, when they search their name, FUD will also come up as well. Because I think it's important I don't know what's going on in this. Your CFL media is like really weird. It's like, if you want the CFL to succeed, why would you spread FUD? Now, you can be critical of the CFL of certain things, and sometimes I'm like, yeah, but again, like, if are you trying to help the league or are you trying to hurt the league? Because when you spread FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, don't you think that impacts, if I'm promoting the CFL, and the way I promote the CFL is to use FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, do you think people are going to watch the CFL? So when you sit there and criticize the CFL because one reporter over here claims that the schedule will be out today, and another reporter over here says, no, it's going to be scheduled out tomorrow, and then this one says over here, meanwhile, the CFL has made no statement when the schedule is going to come out, official statement. How is that a criticism of the CFL? And it continues to happen often. And it's certain people that love to spread FUD. And we will point those people out. So I want you to keep this in mind, CFL fans, because we didn't have this in the XFL. Because everybody was just excited for the XFL. We were covering the XFL. I mean, if they made mistakes, We talked about that, when the XFL, I mean, even the DC Defenders, we talked about, that first game and the food and it wasn't ready. But did I come on and spread FUD and say that, oh, you should never go to a CFL game? I was like, yeah, this happened, but it was also the first game. And it's all cool. When they made that, remember the what was it, the Seattle Dragons game, and they made the wrong call, and then all of a sudden, but the XFL came out right away and said there was a mistake, and the game should have played when the clock ran out. Remember that whole thing? I think that was against the Houston Roughnecks, perhaps streamed. Am I right on this one? I didn't spread fear, uncertainty, and doubt on the league that I cover, that I want to succeed. And it was a big thing that just kind of jumped out to me this week when watching the Canadian media cover the CFL, because they like to just do this. And I think they're dumb. Honestly, I don't think they're thinking about that. Yes, you can be critical, but I hear and I see these things and I'm like, you idiot, you're just spreading FUD. Yet you're saying that you support the CFL. Like, people don't give a crap about that stuff, really, to be honest with you. And we'll get into some data here in a little bit. They just want the stats. They want the games. And that's how we're going to cover. I'll call out popular people in the CFL media if I think that they're spreading FUD. Again, I don't need to be friends with anybody. I'm here in the United States. I'm good. And I'll even get into some things on the XFL side that's happened this past week as well, to show you how good I am, so to speak. But just keep this in mind. I feel like I wanted to kind of point out the FUD. Remember the FUD? And I even tweeted something about that, where it was like, oh, more FUD. So you're going to see these guys come out in the next couple weeks. Again, some with agendas, some just not very bright. And what they're going to do is they're going to say, this is great, but fear, uncertainty. They like to play not the fear thing, but uncertainty, doubt. Who this whole time was telling you it's all good? I was telling you this whole time because I knew it was good. I knew that the vaccines were going to get better and things were going to roll out. Just from my own experience in the United States, that I was surprised at how quickly things opened up. I'll even say this now. I wouldn't be surprised. It would not shock me at all, based on me living in the United States and seeing this thing rolled out. If you don't get the jab, everybody who is going to the hospital right now, there's nobody where I live that was just reported yesterday that has the you-know-what in the hospital right now where I live, because most people are vaccinated here. So I would not shock me at all. Out of all this FUD over the last couple months, oh, there's not going to be enough fans, and this person over in this health insurance said this, and the CFL is lying to us. And the other thing about the CFL too, it's like on one hand they expect this operation, this $1 billion operation, to run like the NFL, yet they don't have NFL money. But on the same hand, it's like this weird. They think it's one way, but then it's like the CFL doesn't have a lot of money to do these things that you expect them to do. Or why aren't they doing this? Or why aren't they blah, 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 blah? It's like maybe because they don't have the people. Because they don't have the money. Remember, they don't have the money, so they're not going to be operating like the NHL or Major League Baseball. Like, I'm already in that zone. I just got here. And I'm already like, I get it. Like, they're trying to crank things up. Staffs have been cut and those kind of things. So this is, to me, all to be expected. So watch out for the FUD. But I wouldn't be surprised. It would not shock me in the least if in August there are full stadiums. I'm telling you, it wouldn't shock me at all by the end of August. I mean, just think of how quickly things have turned. And we still have basically training camp starts July 10th. 3 more weeks. And that's just the start of training camp. And then August 5th when the games start. So I'm excited about the league. I'm excited about covering it. And I'm excited to be one of the non-FUD. And there are CFL media types that don't spread the FUD at all, because they just tell you the facts, because that's what you want. If I thought you wanted FUD, I would give you FUD. But I know you don't want it. Just look at the data. So that's that piece there. I wanted to get that off my chest. FUD. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. People in the media love to play that game. And I just want you, the audience, the CFL fan, the true diehards, to understand when you see it and call it out too. And if I'm giving you FUD, you tell me. It's not going to hurt my feelings if I'm spreading fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Because I don't want to do that. It happens a lot in the crypto world, and then it affects the crypto price. And then there's crypto people, popular crypto people, that complain that, spreading fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and then they go do it themselves. It's quite comical, to say the least. All right, that's the CFL news this week, which is, again, this is fantastic. This is just what we thought was going to go down. Remember, they were like, oh, it might be 7-2 and blah, blah, blah. My other point, I thought, was because there's this, we're talking about the Montreal Alouettes and the Toronto Argonauts, that they might not be on they were kind of on the fence, perhaps. No one has thrown out the XFL factor. Now, would Toronto and Montreal, and I would love to find this out, and I'm going to try. We were joking in our XFL writers chat room, which I could charge $100 a month, and people would pay to read just kind of what things go on behind the scenes and things that we know and all this kind of fun stuff. But you would have to sign an NDA. I'd get Danny Garcia's version and sign that NDA. But we were joking that we, Reed and the guys at XFL or MarkCast are super pro video guys and television pros. I was like, we've got to do some documentaries. So in the documentary, I would love to know what factor did the looming XFL partnership association played in them wanting to kick off the season. If you took the XFL equation out, would Montreal and Toronto be like, heck no, we're not playing. We're done. Or did the XFL play a role in like, all right, well, we got to play the season because this is what the future looks like. And speaking of what the future looks like, if you didn't get a chance, you follow Danny Garcia on the socials, on the Instagram. So XFL co-owner Danny Garcia shows XFL Content Plan and deliverable on Instagram. And if you didn't see this was really interesting. So she's taking a picture of her nails. Clearly, it's not about the nails, and she knows what she's doing. Anybody to suggest anything about the nails is not the sharpest tool in the shed, so shall we say. So we continue to get more hints from XFL co-owner Danny Garcia. Remember, the first picture was the bathroom. It was about over a week ago, talking about NDAs. And now there's a screenshot showing off her XFL style nails. Clearly, this was a message to XFL fans more than her choice of nail color. So what's interesting, if you see now if you're on the YouTubes, you can see it. Check out the article on XFL News Hub. It's who is sharing his screen with the XFL ownership group. The person showing the presentation is someone named Jay Rotman. He's presenting something called XFL Content Plan and Deliverable with a date of 6/4/21. Now, there's no CFL things attached to it. Check out the picture on XFL News Hub. So a quick search of Jay Rothman on his LinkedIn shows that he's the CEO of JR Media LLC. On his LinkedIn, it says Jay is a veteran producer and production executive who spent 33 years of his 4 decades in the television industry at ESPN. His resume spans an impressive number of oversight and production of live sports and events, studio shows, and other specialty programming. Jay is a multiple Emmy Award winner who prides himself on building teams, being a coach and mentor, having strong relationships across the media industry. This is the guy who is working on the content and deliverable plan for the XFL. Now, if you zoom even closer, it says News Co. Content Plan and Deliverable. Final draft. I think it's one page of 39 pages. Now, you heard Mike Mitchell on This is the XFL show. He talked about the creation of this parent company, and underneath that umbrella would be the XFL and CFL. Now, News Co. moniker is not actually a name. It's something that people use as a generic name to spin off as a startup, that kind of thing. They use that as a kind of filler name until they actually have an official name. So does this mean the XFL is gearing up towards a kickoff in 2022? No. It's not. And even Danny Garcia said we were months away. Remember that was a thing, and people were like, yeah, months away from hitting the field, as in like practicing, that kind of stuff. There's no games going to be played in 2022. I'm telling you right now. 2023 is more likely. Now, the league has hired very few personnel as they work through the details of the CFL partnership. In the XFL, remember the XFL 2.0 era started hiring coaches and team presidents in February of 2019, and so we're past that timeline, so there's no way to do that, because there's no way. You understand? But come next year, I think there's going to be content, because remember, this is the final draft. This isn't the first draft. So as in, this is about to get locked up and presented to whoever partners that they pretty much, I would assume, have lined up. Now, in Danny Garcia's photo, if you look at the location, this was actually this was in like Indianapolis or something, or Indiana, or where this picture took place. So you wonder who was in that around that area. And here we go, tinfoil hat. In that area at the time was Fox people, somewhere around there, doing the Spring League and USFL. I'm not putting Fox out of the loop just yet. I mean, who knows if they decide to do the USFL and then do the XFL, or who knows. But it looks like this proposal is that's the final draft, and whoever is the content partners they're basically going to lock it in. And I also think the CFL kicking off, everything seems to be closing the loop as far as what's going on with the XFL and CFL. So now, just for the record, I needed to point out that Garcia dropped her first hint 9 days ago. And this is more of the same, just letting fans know that they're up to something but can't say much due to the NDAs. We assume that this latest drop is not in response to the USFL announcement, which was 7 days ago. Just more hints about exciting news about the XFL. I don't think they were like, oh no, we're really worried about the USFL. Danny, do something. And she's like, oh, okay, I have an idea. I honestly don't think they're very concerned about it at all. Now, I mean, when it comes to hiring coaches and contracts and all this other kind of thing, I'm not too concerned about it. Like I said, when it comes to the USFL, the only thing if they're selling season tickets, yeah, then the XFL should be worried. But if they're not, then I'm not too worried. Now, our own Mike Mitchell, he had more on Jay Rotman. Let me fix this here for a second. Can I fix this? Live in studio fixing. Oh, I guess it's just cut off on here. Interesting. Can I move this over slightly? There we go. Maybe that's a little bit better. Does it look better if I go like this? Okay, cool. Working it on the fly, my friends. So Jay Rothman, like, who's this guy? Officially working for the XFL. Mike Mitchell's got a long article about Jay Rothman. A lot of people saying great things about him. So between the recent hire at Redbird Capital with Kevin LaForce and now Jay Rothman on board. I mean, you're talking about heavy hitter, home run people. And for those naysayers in the CFL world, like this is the crew that these are the guys that you want. These guys are going to help your CFL. There's no question about it. And they're bringing in top talent. And this is really interesting. And this is something that I don't think we've ever really seen before. I mean, we thought the XFL 2.0 brought in some heavy hitters, and they did. This one as well is really bringing in some heavy hitters too. I mean, you're basically grabbing the top-notch guys from. I mean, it shows you how serious Redbird Capital is with this XFL property, and that it's just not going to go away anytime soon. So they are serious, and that's what's so great about what's going on here with these hirings for the XFL. Now, some other XFL news we have going on. Let's see here. A little crossover. And I'm super excited about this. So the Roughnecks, Cam Phillips signs with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Yes. Now I have another reason to root for your team, the Hamilton Tiger Cats. So Cam Phillips is now part of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Of course, he torched secondaries, him and PJ Walker in the XFL. 31 catches, 455 yards, 9 touchdowns in 5 games, including 2 games with 3 each. And I'm surprised he didn't get. I still don't know how I hadn't picked. So not only is Cam Phillips an XFL guy, now he's playing for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and he's also a Virginia Tech guy. And my brother went to Virginia Tech, so we root for Cam Phillips. So I can't wait to see Cam Phillips in the CFL. So awesome. He spent some time with the Panthers training camp. So awesome news for Cam Phillips coming in there in the CFL as well. Super excited about that. And that'd be my first jersey. If I'm getting a jersey, it's Cam Phillips Hamilton Tiger Cats jersey. Now, speaking of Houston Roughnecks, former Houston Roughnecks president Brian Michael Cooper is now part of the USFL legal team. So according to a report by Bloomberg Law, Brian Michael Cooper, former president of the Houston Roughnecks, is now part of the law team that is helping the USFL kick off in the spring of 2022. Smart hire by them. After the XFL season ended and eventually filed bankruptcy, Cooper went to work at the Houston law firm of Frost, Todd & Brown, who also represents the TSL, and CEO Brian Woods. So there you have it. So he's going to be helping them. Now, who knows how much influence he has with helping the USFL. I mean, it's unclear, what his status is, but the legal team that he works for. So clearly he's going to help in some capacity. His loyalties to the XFL are over because the XFL doesn't really have anybody and he hasn't been hired unless he gets hired. But again, none of that's going to happen until I think February of next year. So there is that. So that's the XFL news. The TSL news is we had the final scores this past week. So my linemen, led by another Virginia Tech guy, Willis, I believe his name is, right? 27-22 over the Alphas. The Conquerors defeated the Aviators 16-9. Jousters 27, Sea Lions 10, and the Generals 23 over the what's the other team's name? I forget. Oh, Blues. It was like, oh, it's the Sharks. It's the Blues. So that's going to set up the Mega Bowl. The Mega Bowl. The Spring League unveiled its Mega Bowl logo. So there you have it. We'll have the Mega Bowl. Will be at 3 p.m. at Rice Stadium in Houston. Tickets on sale now because that ends the season. Because it will be the Jousters, because I think the Jousters beat the Generals, and that's why they had the same record. So it's going to be the Jousters against your linemen. America's team, the linemen. Oh, and it's going to be one and done for the linemen. So they will be taking on the Jousters at the Mega Bowl Saturday, June 19th at 3 p.m. on Fox. Hopefully it does some great numbers. But the Mega Bowl. Now, I'm sure they're going to change it because of the USFL deal coming in. So, yeah, it will be the Jousters versus the linemen taking on for the Mega Bowl. Are you guys watching it? Are you guys watching it in the chat? Are you guys going to check out the Mega Bowl? I'm certainly going to. Saturday, what am I going to be doing? I'll be around. I'm going to check out the Mega Bowl. I'm excited. I like the linemen. Anytime I had a chance to check out the TSL, it was good. It just shows you, again, I'm rooting for the USFL, even though I don't think it has much legs. I'm rooting for the TSL. But if anything, it shows you the interest in the spring league, in a spring league football in the United States. Clearly it's there. And also it shows you that the quality of players is still there too. Because the quality of play, to me, in the spring league has been fine. I mean, maybe y'all some are like super nerds, but I'm not as nerdy as you guys when it comes to that. So I thought it was fine. So I'm excited about the finish of the spring league season, and then we'll get into the CFL season. All right. So we take a commercial break. Hear from our friends, the MarkCast. We'll do our typical commercials. And then we got your social media stuff. I got some things I got to talk about still. Oh, also, question of the week. I want you to leave it in the comments. You can leave it in the chat right now. We'll throw this out again during the week. Who do you think is going to win the Mega Bowl? The linemen or Jousters? I'm going linemen all the way. That's my team. The linemen. So who are you picking for the Mega Bowl? Leave it in the chat. Leave it in the comments on YouTube. Remember to smash the like button. We really appreciate that. And subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. Put the notification bell on. We appreciate that. So we've got some interesting news about the XFL, the new CFL, plus your social media stuff right after this, my friends. So stay tuned, okay? You do that.
Here's what you missed last week on the MarkCast.
I was going to say, welcome back to the show, Paul. Remember that one time you went out of town and our good friend Brian Woods decided to relaunch a football league? Remember that time?
Remember that time. That was really perfect timing for me, I guess, to leave you hanging there. I'm sorry about that.
I will tell you right now, when we get to XFL stuff later, I got a rant in me. I don't want this to be an explicit episode with our big 3-hour crazy double stuffed episode today. I'm making up for lost time because Paul was out of town last week, but I have a rant brewing in my heart when we get to XFL stuff later. Pack a lunch, bring a sandwich, just like hunker down and you got some good stuff coming. Huge show today. So because again, we kind of had stuff scheduled and all the USFL stuff came on. So Pat Steinberg, he is a Flames radio host. He writes for the CFL League. So I thought that was, the CFL definitely knows what a MarkCast is because he had to get signed off to do our show. So I thought that was very good. And then Paul McCallum was supposed to be on last week. Paul had a work emergency. This was our big, Tom Manek was great as well last week, is a phenomenal guest. But Paul, he was kind of my ace in the hole. Paul played in the first ever XFL league ever back in 01, but he's a CFL legend.
On top of that, we have Steve Earhart, who was the former executive director of the USFL. You spelled it.
Yeah, I spelled it right. I just saw that. Yeah.
And he's a current executive director of the Liberty Bowl. A lot of insight from Steve Earhart. We have Kyle Smith of the USFL Project coming on, talking about why people are passionate about the USFL. And then I did some work, actually. I actually booked my own guest this week. Good. I can't believe that I'm doing that. That's cool. Michael Cohen, intellectual property and copyright lawyer, is going to come on to discuss the ins and the outs and the what have yous with what's going on with this copyright situation. There's a lot of questions that people like myself, people like Braden over at CFL Reddit have, and we'll see where that goes. The MarkCast is available wherever you download podcasts, whether it's Apple, Spotify, Google. It's all over the place. It's also on XFL News Hub and YouTube.
What's up, XFL Army? If you're a fan of the XFL News Hub and you have a telephone, which I know all of you do because you're sitting there playing on your phones all the time, then why not download the XFL News Hub app? That's right, it's on iTunes. It's on Android. We have an Android version and an iPhone version of the XFL News Hub app. So what do you get? You get the latest news from XFL News Hub, the premier source of XFL news in the universe. Plus, you get push notifications when we have breaking news. You will be the first to know. You can leave a comment on some of the news right from your phone. Plus, you get this podcast on your phone as well. Remember, you can leave us reviews on the Google Play Store or iTunes. It links to other social media, our other social media accounts, and so much more. Be in the know. I know you're on your phones. People are on their phones all the time. They never get off their phones. So why not just download the XFL News Hub app on your Android or iPhone today? All you need to do is go to the Google Play Store or iTunes and just type in XFL News Hub. That's XFL News Hub. Download our app on your phone today. There we go. Wrong button there. I was just making my notes here. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to put this down. Okay, so a couple things I wanted to get to before we get into your social media stuff. Actually, there's three things. First thing, and I've talked about this, is that I'm all in. I'm all in with the CFL and XFL, and kind of basically over the course of the last week, I've kind of like finalized my long-term vision for what we got going on here. So we've got, XFL News Hub. Now we have CFL News Hub. Dogecoin News Hub is blowing up over the course of the last couple days. I think it's finally gotten out of the Google sandbox. Anybody who does SEO knows exactly what I'm talking about. The CFL one is not there yet, but will be. Hopefully when the season starts, as if I timed it correctly. And Destiny News Hub and other web properties, basically, is kind of what we do. I just want you to know. So I have a long-term vision. I got a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, and it's something that has never been, no one's ever done this in the sports world ever, is what my plan is. Now, am I going to tell you the plan? No. But I will tell you that this past week, some entity came to me and wanted to buy XFL News Hub. And when I say buy, it was not for chump change. It was not a couple $1,000s. It was a lot of money. I think some of you would consider just take it and run. But I said no. Number one, because I think it's going to be worth more once a XFL season happens. And this is a long-term play for me. And I have bigger things than just like I could have sold it and just done Dogecoin related stuff and no more football and whatever, but I said no. We didn't even go down the path because I shut it down, and they were legit entity. I mean, I do my research. I'm no dummy. So yeah, because I believe in the community, I believe in what we're doing, and I believe in my 5-year vision, my 10-year vision, and I'm super excited about that. I'm like 40-something years old. I know some people say I'm young. I think I'm 48. I'm like, wait, no, I'm 47. My wife's like, no, you're 48. So I'm getting up there. But I like doing this. I'm not like you young bucks out there. But I'm in it for the long term because I have a long-term vision of something that has never been done in sports, especially like football or any of that kind of stuff. And this genre thing. I'm basically taking what has already been done in other aspects of certain things and taking it to a whole new level. That's why I ain't selling. I got diamond hands, to use another example of a crypto example when it comes to that. So I wanted to kind of tell you that kind of stuff. Now, on to some interesting stats. So, owning multiple sites and lots of experience. I mean, I started my first site when I was in college. So I've been in this game for more than 20 years. Before there was WordPress, before Amazon was a thing, and so I've been in this game for a long time. and I love it because I like how it evolves, and I'm a nerd, and so it's all good. But I have some interesting stats that were part of our Facebook thing. So you know how they were. So it struck me as odd because I was looking at the stats. So this is on the screen but if you're listening at home, on the top left is our breakdown. So this is enough of a sample size. This is the Facebook crowds, and Facebook is a great. And let me give you I'll give you another little tip. I know some of y'all out there think Twitter is like the thing. Instagram is the worst place to try to get traffic to your website. The second worst by far is Twitter. I don't pay much. Twitter is great at community building, but as far as generating site eyeballs to your site, it's terrible. The best one is Facebook. And we have a big following on both for CFL and a good enough sample size. So on the top left, it has the age and gender breakdowns of the XFL fans that are on our XFL News Hub Facebook page. And you can see both of them are all males. No shocker there. So 18 to 24 is pretty decent. 25 to 34 and 35 to 44 is essentially almost equal. And then 45 to 54 is around the same as 18 to 24. Now, if you're in the media, you know that demographic, 25 to 34, is sort of the money demographic. Nielsen ratings are now based off of that demographic because that's where the money is in the advertising world. So keep that in mind. Now, this is the XFL. Remember, people were like, oh, well, we'll get into that. So then you have the CFL stats on the right. If you look, because this is what I didn't understand until I saw the stats. And so 25 to 34 is really low. 35 to 44 is a little bit higher. And then overwhelmingly, basically double the size of 35 to 44 is 45 to 54 is the CFL fan. Now you know why the CFL needs to, how important the XFL is for the CFL. If you don't see this data, because you CFL need that 25 to 34 and that 35 to 44, and you're not getting it. That's why you need the XFL, because the XFL has that number. And what struck me as this is because based on the data, sending out articles at like 12 o'clock didn't do well. But if you send them out at 8 and 9 o'clock, the articles do better. And I was like, that's so weird. Maybe it's a Canadian thing, or maybe it's like, is it the time difference or something? But I'm like, it's not that different in time zones. It's not like Toronto is like 5 hours difference from Maryland or something. You know what I mean? But it's because the older people, the 45 to 54, aren't checking social media all day long like your 25 and your 35-year-olds, because they grew up essentially with social media. Even the 18 to 24. I mean, look at the 18 to 24. There's nobody 18 to 24 on the CFL side of things. But on the XFL side of things, there are. Why? Because there's fantasy, there's betting, there's DFS, and football is popular in the United States. So these are just some interesting stats I would pull out. And when they say that, the CFL has an older demographic problem, I thought maybe the XFL would have the same thing, or maybe the CFL or the NFL would have the same thing. I mean, this is the kind of thing that XFL takes into a meeting with Fox and NBC, and if they didn't, they will now. You're welcome. You're welcome. To sing a rock song. You can see the difference. And that's why the CFL needs the XFL. Just another example, aside from all the recent hires that the CFL has done, or the XFL has done, and also all of the Redbird Capital and why it's important with Danny and The Rock, you see now that it's crystal clear, not only the money side of things, but you could see the XFL had that demographic. And why are they having a business relationship? Because the CFL wants what the XFL can do. You remember certain people in the media, the twice failed league that you like to say, Mr. Fudd? Yeah. Here's another example. This is data. Proof beyond a reasonable doubt. This is numbers to show you the difference and why they want to have a relationship. And those who think, oh, the CFL's fine, they don't need any help. Again, here is the data to back up the argument. Numbers, not your FUD. We don't care about your FUD. Here's some data and here's some numbers. So I thought that was interesting too. Let me know what you think in the chat. We'll get to you guys in a second. My last thing is I was hoping to do the schedule this show, but we're not. The schedule is supposed to come out tomorrow, and they said it was coming out tomorrow, so I assume it's going to come out tomorrow. So I would like to announce what we're doing next, and this goes part of the big 5-year and 10-year plan that we have at XFL News Hub and all our little News Hub properties, is we're going to do a live show tomorrow about the XFL or the CFL schedule. This is a first crack. It's going to be live. You can be part of it. Same time, same bat channel, 8 o'clock, as long as it's announced by then, and if there's any snafus. But you need to go in the show notes of this show right now, in the show notes. You can click and subscribe. This is on the YouTube. Click and subscribe. You can X out and close it and go in and click and subscribe to our CFL channel. And we're going to do we're going to talk all CFL. This is kind of the test run of what we got coming up, because during the CFL season, we will have a live CFL only show once a week where we're going to talk about the things that we know what you want. We'll talk about betting. I don't know what the deal is in Canada, whether you can, you can't, where you can go, you can VPN. I don't know what you wouldn't do, but I know in the United States, that's what they care about. We'll talk about fantasy. We'll talk about DFS, daily fantasy. We'll give the picks, because I know American fans, you want them to be interested. This is what you give them. We'll talk about that, previews of the games, those kind of things. But I need to check out the schedule to finally give a specific day. But we're going to do that throughout the whole season. So that's right. I'm going live twice a week, baby, with the CFL shows. So we'll give my thoughts there. Also, I'm hoping once I see the schedule, I've talked to the ultimate CEO, my wife. I think our plan, we've talked about this. My friends, Hamilton Tiger Cats fans, we're not talking about the Grey Cup, but I'm coming to your town this season. That's right. Your boy, Mark. I know Randy Ambrosi didn't consult with me about the big announcement, didn't mention my name that I was coming. That's right. We're going to drive up, most likely, up to Hamilton to go see a game. Now, whether that's I'm thinking October. I'm planning on going to a Ravens-Miami Dolphins game in November. And then you got the holidays. And then, of course, the Grey Cup. Again, this is dependent on some crypto prices as well. Hopefully we get a good bump, and then we'll have a fun time. But that's the plan. So we're gonna go check out the schedule tomorrow live on the CFL News Hub channel, and then we can talk about lining up some tickets. And I'm telling you, I'm planning on doing it like I'll pay for the tickets. I'm not going to do it now because, there's limited tickets and all this other stuff. But once things open up and if the borders open up, your boy is going to be hanging out. And I need to know what establishments I need to go check out. I need to know where the tailgate is. That's the biggest thing. And who I'm tailgating with. Because I'm coming and hanging out. Me and my wife will come hang out. We'll do some live stuff, on YouTube and just have fun with the whole journey up to Canada. I've never been to Canada. Super excited, working on the passport. We just started talking about it again. So live CFL show is coming. We're just going to check out the schedule, see when everything is. I don't want to have a live show when there's CFL games. So I have a couple ideas of when. I'm hoping to lock that down. But tomorrow, go down into the comments or into the show notes on xflnewshub.com/XFL-podcast and subscribe to our CFL News Hub channel. And we're going to be doing live shows during the CFL season. I'm super excited about that. That's just going to be 100% CFL because there's, the all football crowd, the XFL crowd here. There's the CFL crowd. And I want to we're going to talk CFL here because it pertains to the XFL. But I really want to get in depth with the CFL on the other side because people sign up for different things. Maybe, my Canadian brothers and sisters, mostly brothers, based on data that we just saw, are interested in just talking CFL. So there you have it with that. So some exciting news coming up there. On the chat room, Associate Minister and Reserve Deacon Mr. Terry Jones, that's a big name, checking in. Says, I love the CFL football. I miss the Memphis, Tennessee Mad Dogs. CX Tyler says, I miss all the XFL news this week. What did Danny say? She didn't say anything. She showed her fingernails, but it was that content and deliverables document that's finalized, and who essentially put that document together is just showing you we're moving down the path of the XFL. Will they have some kind of announcement? I don't know. I thought no, but then I'm like, I think maybe we might get something in August or something. I don't know. Paladin Demo checking in, says hello from work. Frozen Delta Records, TSL News, I'm out. It was just we just talked about it a little bit. Not the whole time. Talking about a little bit about the TSL. Man, you got some XFL guys in there. It's all good. Frozen Delta Records says last season was the first time the CFL shut down since World War I, II. Maybe he put it in there. No, actually, it was 1919, and the CFL did not play the Grey Cup. I don't know if it was a season or it wasn't the Grey Cup because of some rules problem. Shocker. You think that, okay. Anyways. All right, let's get to some social media stuff before I lose my voice. So here, talking about XFL. Oh, and we got some salty folks here this week, my friend. Salty. Should I do the salty voice? Taking a little swig here. About the XFL co-owner Danny Garcia showing off that content plan and deliverable on our Instagram. David says, yeah, that's... all right, here we go. Should I do his voice? Yeah, that's what football fans care about. Nail colors. Okay, David. Clearly, content plan and deliverable is what it's about. Does David need a hug? If you know David, somebody give him a hug. Jonathan, joke. Just like Hollywood treated us like empty-headed morons. I'm not really sure. Okay, I don't understand those people, but all right. On the USFL 2022, can it revive the league, avoid the mistakes of the XFL and AFL both made? This was from a CBS Sports article. Justin said, what a stupid headline. XFL 2.0's biggest mistake was starting a season right before the pandemic hit. Honestly, if the pandemic wouldn't have happened, I believe we would be watching it now. I totally agree. Best advice I could think to give the USFL, check to be sure no pandemic will start as your season begins. Justin, totally right there. Louis, I am also a former season ticket holder of the Arizona Wranglers and Arizona Outlaws when they were in the USFL. Cool. Tony, yeah, don't let Donald Trump come in and try to compete with the NFL. Just be the USFL and have some good games to watch. That's good there. Daryl says, other than a literal global pandemic starting during the first season, what did the XFL do in the revive? That's a good question. Louis, I thought the XFL was great. Loved it. Yeah, me too. Jordan, what mistake did XFL 2.0 make? Pandemic wasn't their fault. It's not Gene Snitsky either. Wrestling reference there. Okay. On co-owner Danny Garcia saying that the XFL is life-changing. I mean, it just shows you how serious they are about the XFL. Like, this isn't going away in a year or two. And it's like, oh, sorry. Like, this isn't John Candy and Wayne Gretzky coming in and owning the Argos. This is not, I mean, we've shown you all the data. You're talking Kevin LaForce, you're talking Jay Rothman coming in. These guys aren't cheap. I'm sure you didn't go on Upwork or Craigslist to find these guys. And I'm sure they're not making $10 an hour to help them out. Just saying. John, sorry to rain on your parade, but it will only be life-changing once the league takes off and players are on the field. Okay. Jared says, go do something with it, LOL. On to the next one. Sportscasting had will the USFL 2.0 attempt to raid NFL talent like it did in the 80s. Dana says hopefully they can complement each other. Yeah, I don't think I did hear. Did Doug Flutie and let me know in the chat room. Did Doug Flutie say that they were going to go after NFL talent in like 5 years? I thought he said that somewhere, or said on like Colin Cowherd's show, which I was like, bro, I love you, Doug. I love Flutie Flakes. You know what I mean? But come on. That's not happening there. They don't have Vince McMahon money, bro. If Vince McMahon didn't do it, you ain't going to do it neither. Former USFL exec Steve Earhart clarifies league name and logo statement. A whole bunch of drama going on with this thing. You just need to check it out. Listen to XFL or MarkCast when they talk about this kind of stuff. But yeah, there's a whole sorts of drama with guys and who owns what, and I don't know what the deal is there. Redbird Capital, of course, adding Kevin LaForce. John says, all these moves don't mean squat if they don't take the field. Come on, people. Facts. Get this thing going or just pull the plug. John checking in. As always, go away. On CFL News Hub, how much do CFL players make versus NFL and XFL players? Matt Nagashima put this one together. Robert says, give me a bleeping break. When I was younger, trying to make the show, the team I played for paid each of $400 a month and had unemployment waiting for us whenever we showed up for the season. I'd be happy with what the lowest paid players get nowadays. I think I could make $30,000 to $75,000 for a few months of work doing something I happen to be good at now. But in real life, I'm working long hours and 40-hour weeks all year long and maybe push $35,000 a year. That's the problem in the United States of America with this inequality. I'd trade any pro athlete right now, any of them, instead of. How much money is enough for any sport? Very maddening to watch some of them bitch over $1 million here, $1 million there. That's a good point, Robert. That's a good point. Keep it in perspective. On the Danny Garcia, just bring it on the Instagram, BigRon_S3. We're right there with you, Ron. Bring it as well. Let's go to the Twitters. Well, who we got here first? Let's go check in with our friends in the comments section. Let's see. What do we got here? Jordan checking in. Do you think the XFL will have a season? Hope so. Yes, in 2023. But that doesn't mean 2022 is going to be nothing. We're going to get coaches. We're going to get team presidents. I think we're going to start to see some content. I wonder if they've been filming stuff now. Could you imagine behind the scenes 30 for 30 about the XFL getting purchased by The Rock and Danny Garcia? First of all, I'd be stunned. You're going to do these shows, content delivery, Jay Rothman. You got to call at least Mike Mitchell. At least Mike Mitchell is on your rotodial. You got to call him up to be on this stuff. And call your boy next. Because we've been around since the beginning And we were there when the XFL was done and toast. So I agree there. Stock Speed Tech, agree, but not going to happen until 23. Richard Humphrey, again, Richard O for real, checking in. He says he agrees. Brian Young says, looking good, thank you. Matt Graves, Labor Day Classic, best game of the year. Oh, I am super excited. And again, I've said I don't care about the rules. I think this is a great opportunity. Again, if I am the CFL, XFL folks, I'm not going to say anything. I might, if the XFL, I might drop my thing and let the CFL do its thing. But if the XFL, it'll be interesting if the XFL really pushes fans to watch the CFL this season. Now, remember, it looks like you can watch the CFL games on. I have asked when the schedule comes out, I will reach out to my sources again at ESPN and DraftKings and other places about what their plans are now that the schedule is out. But it's supposedly will be all on ESPN Plus. All right, to watch the games. Let's see here on the Twitters. Alex with a bunch of numbers. How does this benefit the XFL 2020 at all? I think it's very important that the CFL has a season, because the XFL would just be buying the scraps left over from the CFL. This shows you that they have, I think this is important. I think this is good for the XFL. And also it's good for, we got Taylor Cornelius and with the Elks. We've got Cam Phillips now up there. Sean Oakman is up there. There's a lot of XFL players up there and that are going to play. When our XFL guys were in the NFL, the best that most of them were doing was on the practice squad. I really think they can hit the field. And I'm excited to see these new guys, Bo Levi Mitchell, and some of these other CFL players that I've heard about, to actually see them on the field. I am super excited. I can't wait. I wish things were a little bit more quiet, or if the borders opened up, because I would love to take a little road trip and check out some training camp. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Hamilton Tiger Cats, give me a call. Maybe I'll come up if I can get in or something. I can work out from there. I can work there. All right, let's see what else we got here. The Mega Bowl. The Mega Bowl. Pudge _XFL. Mega Bowl seems sort of gimmicky, don't you think? Like a little ripoff of the Super Bowl. Could have named it the Spring Bowl. Yeah, actually, that's funny. I never thought of Mega and Super. That is kind of it's kind of not very creative. I would have called it the Grey Cup, but spell it Gray. That's what I would have done, just to be snarky, especially if I'm not involved with the CFL or the XFL, and this is the last one. Just call it the Grey Cup with an A instead of an E. That would have been funny. Relax. My friends. On the city council, who was on the show, William Parker was on our show a while ago talking about, they're interested in, of course, in the USFL franchise. Andrew Paul Murray says this makes sense considering what Mr. Parker told you on the podcast last year about wanting a professional football team in Birmingham. Hey, Andrew, awesome. He's listening. It's just interesting that the USFL may end up taking the XFL spot, just like the AAF did in 2019. Again, my whole thing with the USFL stuff is that I don't think they're going to be in cities. And even if they're going to be in, even if they say it's like, all right, this is the New York Generals or whatever, and the Los Angeles whatevers, I think they're still going to do a hub. That's what Brian Woods said. Go listen to the MarkCast episode with Brian Woods on there, because he basically lays it out and says it's going to be a slow build. They're not going to jump all into it like they did. And remember, Fox is a minority partner. So again, where's this money coming from? We know Vince McMahon spent a lot of money, maybe $50 million, just to get the XFL off the ground. Now the CFL or the USFL doesn't, they have the merchandise, they have the gear, They have some kind of TV contract. I don't think this TV contract is $100 million. I would suspect that, it's kind of like, hey, we'll cover the costs. I think they would do hub cities with the USFL name and the USFL teams in 2 hub cities with a championship game, selling merch this time, and actually having fans in the stands and see if it can generate some buzz that way. I think that's kind of the slow build. That if that was my business plan, that's what I would think that they're doing. On to the YouTubes. Isaiah. So we have XFL, MLFB, FCF, TSL, FFL, and USFL. Yeah, we do. Morales says, I love football and agree there should be an alternative, but all these leagues may lead to oversaturation. Most of them aren't going to last. I think the XFL will last. I think the USFL has a good chance if they're not playing at the same time. I think it would be great as a long-term play. And who knows? I mean, if Fox and XFL are talking, I mean, that chapter isn't closed. I mean, very well, the USFL could play next year and then Fox could just drop them. I mean, I assume that's not like some 10-year contract either. They could be keeping the bench warm for the XFL to return. Who knows? True American says, whichever league puts a team in San Antonio, Texas, I will support. Also, there was a rumor that the LFA, the Football League from Mexico, was planning to expand to the United States. That would be shocking. Hawaiian Punch. Nice. Solomon Elamani is pronounced just the way it's spelled. Elamani. Elamimini is pronounced just the way it's spelled. The dude is a future CFL Hall of Famer, currently president. I know, he's president of the Players Association. Taking a minute to watch a video on YouTube to find a correct pronunciation of his name is not difficult. I can't even get like Cam Phillips right sometimes. Hawaiian Punch. I am not very bright sometimes. It took me a while, and I heard Jordan Taiamu multiple times, and I was still getting it wrong. If you go back in the history and listen to some of the podcasts I did, because I basically was the first person to do a pro wrestling WWE podcast. I was getting names wrong back then. So don't get offended. I'll figure it out. I'll get it eventually. But I was still screwing up Jordan Tamu when the season was over. Still. So my point is, don't expect too much from me. Okay? I'm not that bright sometimes. But you're all right. I should. Ron Allen. XFL could buy the rights to the AAF names and the old XFL names. Well, I think they already own the old XFL names. Steven says XFL hired Kevin LaForce. This is great news. Yes, I agree. Paladin Demo. I'm going to do my best urinating tree impression. Okay, congratulations. Edmonton. You just broke the generic brand team name. Consider the progress of Washington Great Value brand is practically a land speed record. It'll take a while to get used to. Much like the nice gamey flavor of wild venison. It'll take time to develop. You're in good hands. I haven't had venison. I was even thinking about recently of going vegetarian just to kind of mix things up. But I haven't tried venison yet. Yo, my friends in Canada, if we're up there, I don't know if I'm going to any kind of home bought created stuff I'm going to eat. Anything you give me to eat and to consume is probably should be in a can or package. I don't want to get poisoned because I was making fun of somebody on my channel. Jack Stevens, always great vid, guys. Thank you there. D-Tom America. Football year-round isn't a bad idea. NFL, college football, high school season, then UFL season, then XFL, CFL. And the only time the leagues are playing at the same time is when one league is in the playoffs and the other one's in their preseason. Year-round football doesn't get old because 3 different leagues playing football their way. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good idea. I know this is a football talk show. However, there's one thing the USFL can do to get at least 30 to 35 million people to watch the first weekend. Oh, okay. If President Trump endorses the USFL and all of his kids are in a leadership position of any kind, the ratings that first weekend would be huge. President Trump still has a massive fan base, and the USFL wants that maybe could do this. What are your thoughts? People will certainly tune in. I don't know if I would give him a microphone because he would complain. There would be a lot of jokes about, some people blame him. This is before he was president. I've heard this before. Again, remember, I grew up in New York. I know Donald Trump. The Atlantic City area, knew people that grew up in that area. No one ever had nice things to say about him. And those things continued when he was president of the United States. But bringing him, but I'll agree with you. People would tune in. If Trump was on there, they would tune in. I'll give you that part. Let's see. But they don't even want to associate with the, what's going on with these, when you've seen the article. So I don't think Donald is going to be involved in that either. Sabiri Terrace, 1996, says they need to go with no restrictions. I think you're talking about the games. George Snow, any relation to Jon Snow? Dude, how unprofessional. Drinking on camera, and you keep blowing your lines. Have some respect for the product and your audience. George, my voice is going out and I'm thirsty. This is a live show. He must be from Canada. Jared, USFL. Oh, wait, George. Hold on a second. This is for George. You're welcome. Jared, USFL. I hope it lasts 5 seasons, but that's easier said than done. 5 years is a long time. I agree with you there. Chris says, let's just get through a first season, shall we? Again, and this also goes with the fact that when I was talking about with the XFL and CFL and this talk of merge, which I don't think is going to happen, we just need to get through a season. And that's why I think the smart play is let them y'all play together, but doing your own things and your own rules in 2023. Let the XFL get through its season. And then you have all this content about, the rules. You can take that to 2024, 2025 and slowly introduce things to the puzzle. Y'all need to get, both of y'all, in at least 2022, the CFL needs to get through a full season without any issues. And the XFL in 2023 needs to get through its before. But I think this is a long-term plan. I think Jay Rotman, Danny Garcia, and others know what they're doing, so I'm not worried about that. Richard, don't give a crap about the XFL because they don't have a team in my home state. If the USFL gets a team, I'll be buying their merch. There you go there. Hey, Richard, also, I just want to point out that there has been chatter about the XFL adding another team. So I think if the XFL I think what the XFL should do, if anything, say in August, let the CFL kind of do its thing, the XFL start to announce things too. They could absolutely play adding another franchise and get the fans all riled up for that, September, October, November timeframe. But again, a lot of people will be watching the NFL, so they might not do that. But really, if the XFL is going to add another team, now that I'm thinking about it, that needs to happen in 2021. Now that I'm thinking about it. Because, you need to hire a coach. You need to have a plan. That would be cool if the XFL has their content plan in place and we get 2 announcements in 2021. Then I think things are fine. And I know they're watching and I know they listen. So get your content, your TV contract out there and what that looks like, and hopefully it incorporates the CFL and kind of like your plan and maybe some shows coming in 2022, and then tease out that you're going to, at some point, especially before Christmas. Actually, I mean, this is what you have to do, to be honest with you, is before Christmas, you want to have the merch. So you could do this whole thing and string it out in July. You even start in July if you wanted to, and string it out, and maybe, because you need the merch ready and the logos, and maybe they're working on it now, is whatever that adding another city to the XFL family. That would be huge, because fans love that stuff, and they would talk that stuff up, make an announcement and sometime in October, so that you, and with merch on sale in November, then you're going to sell out a ton of merch for the holidays. Boom. Just hire me. Come on. Actually, don't, because I got my own plans, but I appreciate the offer. XFL Fanatic, I believe the XFL will be playing in 2022. No, they won't. I made a video about it. Danny Garcia has been really helpful dropping these hints. XFL Fanatic, I don't think so. Sorry, bro. I don't think so at all. Let's get to some chat. What's going on in the chat room, guys? Let's see here. Richard says, will you be doing a USFL News Hub? I do own USFL News Hub. All USFL news is going to be on XFL News Hub. I've talked about this before. So XFL News Hub is going to have your TSL, USFL. There's not enough there to have a dedicated site to that, but you can incorporate them together there. Because there's plenty of XFL to carry it. On the CFL side, actually, we're going to have ELF. So here's another announcement. Matt Lyons, Josh Davis from XFL News Hub are going to be covering the European League football, the ELF League, actually starting this weekend. So on CFL News Hub, you're going to get all the CFL stuff. That's the main guy. And then the Mexican League and the European League will be covered on that CFL side of things. So that's how we're going to do it. Because there's just not enough to cover. I mean, the USFL might have 6 games all season. That's not enough. Not a draft, you know what I mean? So there is that. Let's see. Infinite Light 4. What Matt said, head to Calgary for the Labor Day Classic where they host Edmonton. Intense game. Okay. John says, if you can, Labor Day game in September would be the best to go, but watch the first half of the season and you'll know which other teams you want to see. I mean, I can't go. I mean, it's going to be Hamilton. That's the closest place that I'll go there. And Charlie says, Trump ruined the USFL in the 1980s. Richard agrees on that respect as well. All right, let's get to some of that social, or not social media, but emails. Let's see, what do we got first here? Let me check up. Joseph checking in. Says, love your site, podcasts and articles, Mark. Thank you very much. Let me know what you think of the following. Okay. I, like others here, am a pro football fanatic. Because of this, I always enjoy the NFL and alternative pro football leagues. I've attended games in Los Angeles Rams, AFL, LA Chargers, Continental Football League, Ramblers, WFL, SoCal Sun, USFL, Express, XFL 1 Extreme, XFL 2 Wildcats. I'm dating myself, but I remember watching the 1963 CFL Grey Cup on ABC's Wild World of Sports on black and white TV. Okay, so Joseph falls into that category on the other end of the spectrum of our statistical analysis here. I would assume he's maybe in that 55 to 64 range. That actually the CFL beats the XFL in that one as well. The 45 to 54 and the 55 to 64, the CFL has you beat. I'm assuming that's where he's at. Just Because I'm 48. Do you believe I'm 40? I still don't even think I'm 48. Anyway, as has been mentioned recently in various articles and published opinion, in order for the CFL XFL marriage to succeed, it will have to success in securing multiple TV network packages and secure financial commitments. The World Football League, United States Football League, World of all these other ones, United States Alliance, all fell victim in one form or another to broadcasting and financial stability and commitment failures. I agree with that. Some still rumors about that the possibility of an alliance of different leagues, including the CFL, XFL, LFA, Mexico's League of American Football, and the European League of Football may be part of a plan to expand Redbird's global reach. I think so. This rumor of a plan to provide year-round football incorporating these leagues is certainly intriguing. Certainly, this idea would stimulate additional interest by all sports networks, as well providing interest in the alternative live streaming reach. Again, this is a totally different beast than was in the 80s and 90s. Like, we're just living in a different realm. Speaking of a different realm, we even have TikTok. We just started TikTok for XFL News Hub, CFL News Hub, Dogecoin News Hub. We have TikTok now. We'll be putting that out there. I don't care if you're like, why would you do that? That's where the people are. I don't make the rules. I'll just play by them, sort of. With this in mind, I would note the following. Years ago, mid-90s, before the advent of live streaming and before Fox, CBS, CNBC, or NBC, and the NFL created their cable networks, and with ESPN being 24-hour sports network, there was an attempt to launch a 24-hour sports network devoted to just American football. Interesting. As we know, the NFL Network was developed to primarily act as a vehicle to promote, televise, and cover the NFL's product itself. Eventually dabbled into some limited coverage of college, CFL, Spring Alliance, and that's it. I think the Alliance paid. The AF paid to be on the NFL Network. Alternatively, TFN, the football network, was developed to ambitiously televise and report all aspects of American football. The NFL, also professional alternative league, semi-pro, college, junior college, high school, and even youth program would include game broadcasting studio, reporting, full football palette. The project was way ahead of its time, but sadly, for various reasons, could not reach fruition as a major airing network. Interesting. You have me intrigued. Joey Jet checking in. Interesting. What do you think there in the chats about Joey's thing? He continues. However, if the International League rumors of Redbird are true, Redbird could look to capitalize on today's thirst for American football, as well as promote its own worldwide partner football leagues, just as the NFL has done with its own NFL network. Not only would the XFL, CFL players get the critically important exposure they need, but equally important for the international players getting exposure recognition for their talents. More importantly, the international broadcast market's opportunity are not only captivating but salivating. Thus, the timing may be right for Redbird to develop and launch its own 24-hour version of sports network solely devoted to all aspects of American football, domestic and international. Interesting. The NFL's failed international leagues, as well as their token NFL international series, has left open the opportunity for someone else to grasp the global American market and ring. Somehow, I sense Newsco, group of Redbird, Danny Garcia, Dwayne Johnson, and XFL are planning to seize these golden nuggets. Cheers, Joey Jet. Interesting. What do you think in the comments of Joey Jet talking about them starting their own network? Now, there's two problems with your own network. Number one is the cable business is just disintegrating, and it's turning to streaming. Having your own network, a la WWE, it wasn't worth it for them to do it, and then they went to Peacock. I could see. I mean, maybe like the thing is, when I heard is that if you started your own cable company, cable television network, and got put on all the big network, all the big carriers, you could put one show on and you would be making millions. This is the problem. This is why there's so many cable channels, because you could just put on nothing and you would make money. And that's how it worked for a long time. And I think that's how it continued to work. But the problem is the subscribers and the audience, those they're hemorrhaging, and I use that word all the time when I describe cable television. So that's the problem. So I don't know that they would go that route, and it's expensive too. And I think the NFL Network is a money loser for them. And I knew that they figured they could break even by putting games on the NFL Network or something. But it's an interesting concept. I could see, Peacock having, a list of, all the different leagues, doing something like that on that as well. And I've heard rumblings that ESPN is not doing very well anymore. So, you know what I mean? So being on ESPN isn't the end all be all. I used to love ESPN, and I hate ESPN. Me and some family members call it BSPN because it's terrible. I can't watch it. It's so annoying. Like Mike and Golic, and that was terrible. And I mean, there was some other ones that were decent, but I don't watch any of that stuff. I would watch the NFL Network. I enjoy that. But the ESPN is terrible. I would never even want to work there, to be honest. No thanks. I'll do my own thing. And that's the thing. You can do your own channel on YouTube. You're not going to make as much money, but you could. You can just stream it on like I'm doing. It doesn't cost you all this production nonsense. Paladin Demo checking in. As always, slow progress last week to the extent this week. Got the armor mostly done and got some cleanup to see what a missing combination of my nephew's birth. Congratulations. Work kept me late. I'm doing some Orlando Rage project. Pretty cool there. We like when he shares that stuff with us. Let's see. And finally, Fourth and Long checking in. On a side note, I recall your comments about MLB baseball and how they potentially long-term losers as Americans go steeper into football. Yes, I have said this before. From the strike of 1994 to the steroid era, latest cheating, Astros, Red Sox, and controversy this year, they just seem to keep fan attention away from the diamond itself. Add to that the home run and strikeout play of late, it's not as much fun. Baseball never was consistent action, but it was and still can be a great pastime, but football rules for a reason. It's the best sport and people love it. So it is true, spring, summer, FB takes hold, football, they could be the big losers. Fourth and Long checking in. Yes, I have been critical. Not very nice, especially for Toronto Blue Jays. When it comes to Major League Baseball. I know, I haven't been nice. I play fantasy baseball, I'm not going to lie. But that's okay. I think I'm telling you, man. If I'm Major League Baseball, I bet you I'd be so curious what the demographic for Major League Baseball is. I would assume that it's closer to the CFL side of things than the XFL side of things based on our little data chart here. That's just my guess, if I would put it out there. Let's see. Frozen Delta says 48. It all starts to go downhill at 55, buddy. All right. So my 10-year plan, that would make me 58. Oh, my God. At least I don't have to worry about going gray. I don't have any hair. So that's good. I'm training for a half marathon here in July. So, and I did the Murph, which is a 1 mile from Memorial Day. It's a 1 mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, and 300 squats. So basically you do a mile run, come back, 10 pull-ups, 20 push-ups, 30 squats, do that 10 times, and then run another mile. I did that under an hour. I did that under in 50 minutes. Jaboy, I have no excuses. I'm going to reverse. I'm going to reverse it. Paladin, streaming is going to be hit or miss with all the mergers and shutdowns. Primetime Fry. ESPN is all about talk shows and everyone there trying to be bigger personalities than the sports they talk about. Amen. Primetime Fry. Nailed it. Hit it out of the park. That's 100% in a nutshell. You got it. All right, my friends. That's it for this week's show. Remember, smash the likes button right now. We appreciate that. We got 16 likes. Let's get it to 20. Can we get to 20 likes? Would be fabulous before we close out the show. On to... And Paladin says, got the Olympics trials on. It's more personalized than the sports. Yeah, I mean, I don't like the way... Again, and that's why I think, Danny, there is something unique coming in the XFL world. So remember, to make sure that you, again, like, subscribe, smash that like button right now so that we get that YouTube algorithm to help us out. We've got... CFL live show. Remember to subscribe to CFL News Hub or just type it in. It's in the show notes. It's in the comments. It's in everywhere. You just click on the link. We've got our YouTube channel. So hang out with us there. Your question of the week: who are you picking for the Mega Bowl? I want to know that. I'm going linemen's. I want to know your scores too. Send me an email or shoot us. Do the hashtag on do hashtag Mega Bowl. Or hashtag XFL News Hub, or just tag us on Twitter with your Mega Bowl predictions. We'll check them out and see if anybody's right. Heck, let's give out some merch. We'll give out some XFL merch. Anybody picks the score right. If you get the score right, we'll send you something fancy like a $40 or $50 XFL thing. So in order to do that, you have to email info@xflnewshub.com or leave your picks in the comments on YouTube. So if you're listening, I want you to email podcast@xflnewshub.com with your Mega Bowl picks. That's the team winner and then the number. Or leave a comment. I could tell if you're going to leave a comment after the game is over. So you're cut off on the 19th. So if you get it in before the 18th, I want the score and I want who's going to win. And if you get it right, even if 10 of you get it right, we'll send you some XFL merch. How's that sound? It'll be fun. Check it out. My prediction, sure to go wrong. I'm going to write it down so I have it. So I'm saying the linemen are going to win. Linemen are going to win. I'm writing it down so I have it for next week. So I got the linemen over the Jousters. And I'm going to put it in the comments here in a second. Let's see. I mean, the Jousters put up some points, man. I think it's going to be a shootout. How about 41-27? I think it's going to be a shootout, but I think the linemen win it. 41-27. There you go. That's my prediction of that. I'm going to put it in the comments right this second. Remember, do the comments not on the live deal, but on the comments on the show once the show is over so that I can read it. So give me your predictions there. Remember the live show. Subscribe to CFL News Hub. We appreciate that. Appreciate everybody in the chat room for hanging out with us. Give you a little behind the scenes about XFL News Hub and also the site stats as well. Remember to email us, podcast@XFL News Hub, or you leave a video or 888-430-7692 extension 3. Just give us your thoughts. Just call us and give us your thoughts. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We'll read it on the show. And make sure you like and subscribe to XFL News Hub and CFL News Hub. We'll post that out once the show goes live tomorrow. Excited about the CFL schedule. Excited about the CFL season as the TSL season comes to a close. We have ELF coverage on CFL News Hub and CFL coverage on CFL News Hub. Pretty shocking. And then I'm excited about this new show that we have coming live, and we'll get more details of that. But first, we'll deal with the schedule coming out, and we'll have a full recap of that schedule tomorrow, live, to get your response for that stuff. So let's see. Again, follow us everywhere, Twitter, YouTube. Follow XFL News Hub, CFL News Hub. We're everywhere. Download our phone apps. Again, we're the only ones that do that, and those will be upgraded. And you can listen to this podcast. You can watch it on YouTube or anywhere you get your podcasts. Show notes, xflnewshub.com/XFL-podcast. And we have a Discord channel too. You can get that over on XFL News Hub as well. Thanks everybody in the chat for hanging out with me. That's it for me, folks. And I will see you all later. Peace out.